Hey, and welcome to part 4 of this check out on the Witch Doctor's skills. It is time now to take a look at the passive skills, as you know, and let's just dive right into it. Let's see the first skill we have on the table. I just scroll up. There we go. It is called the Circle of Life. It's always nice to have a reference to the Lion King. You gain 10% of your maximum mana whenever you are healed by a health globe. This is of course kinda useful. You know, mana is important, and every time you get a health globe you will get some mana back as well. But it isn't that fun. It doesn't really... I don't really feel the use of this as much as some of the others. And I'm not really digging it that much. Maybe a bit useful, but no, well, I think no, not really not my cup of tea, so to say. So let's move on instead to Vermin. Your Plague of Toads, Corpse, Spiders, and Fibets abilities do 20 more damage. This is a skill that might be good if you're not using any of these skills. It's kind of worthless. But if you are the kind of player who prefer these 3 skills, 2 or 3 of them, really can see how this is useful. Because you will get, well, if you use these 3, you will get 20% more damage on all of them. And if you do that, it is really nice. And so it is a skill that might be kinda useful. Maybe not the most useful, but still a good skill. But yeah, depends on your character, of course. Moving on to a skill that do not really depend on that. It is Spiritual Attunement. Maximum mana is increased by 20%, and you will regenerate 2% of your maximum mana per second. So yeah, you will always use mana, so it's nice to have a mana regeneration, and of course maximum mana. It's good to have a bigger mana pool. This is a skill that you will not feel it like a direct boost. You will not get like the Vermin, where you get 20% more damage. So the numbers get bigger. This one do not help you with that, but you will be able to cast more spells in a fight because, well, you have more mana. Simple as that. So let's move on to Gruesome Feast. You gain 10% attack for 10 seconds whenever you are healed by a health globe. This effect can stack up to 5 times. So basically you can, if you're doing things right, you can get an attack boost of 50%. And as long as you pick up a globe every 9 seconds, you will be able to, you know, keep up this. But I'm not really digging this one. Think about it this way. If you are to, you know, pick up these globes all the time, a lot of time you will spend hunting these orbs, which means that you will not cast as many spells as you would have done if you just stood and, you know, attacked. And if you put it like that, it might be that bonus you gain is neglected by the fact that you cannot actually cast spells, so you will not deal more damage. Every spell will deal more damage, but based of time scale, you will not deal more damage, and can't really see. It forces you to always run around, you know, and look for these orbs for this to be worth having. So we will move on to Blood Ritual. 50% mana cost are paid with life, and you will regenerate 2% of your maximum life per second. This is a skill that I really feel that it fits the role of my picture of the Witch Doctor. It's dirty, it's nasty, it's a bit under the belt, you know. It's not just, I'm casting spells. You're using dark magic. It's really dark magic-ish, so to say, and I'm not sure why I feel that way. Maybe you don't, but mostly I do that because if you have been playing Dragon Age or Dragon Age 2, you know that blood mages, they uses the same. They would only use health as the resource for their spells, and they are really these dark, evil things, and they're considered really dangerous and they're really kind of evil. So yeah, I like that one. It might be a bit risky if you're playing in the hardcore mode, but still I'm digging it. And of course you will be able to cast more spells because you have more resource to use. We will move on to the zombie handler. You can have 4 zombie dogs out at once, and the health of your zombie dogs and gargantuan is increased by 60%. So if you're focusing on having a zombie, as you know, going the zombie style, you will have your small friends out. I really dig this one. You get 1 more dog and they will not die as easily as they usually do. So if you prefer that, I think this is a decent skill. And you can really, this is not something, you know, you deal more damage. It's visually really changes things. Not much, but instead of 3 dogs, you have 4 dogs. That is something that you really can see, you know. So that is a skill I really I can see how that is useful, and it's more than just crunching some numbers and, you know, pulling them a bit higher. It's actually something you see. Moving on to pierce the veil. All of your damage is increased by 20%, but your mana costs are increased by 30%. So basically you deal more damage, but you will have to pay more mana in order to do so. So, you know, if you're using this one, you really need to have a good, strong mana pool. So you could combine this with, where is it? Either Blood Ritual, or maybe both Blood Ritual and, where is it? Spiritual Attunement, you know, so we have this mana. But there's another way as well to combine this with another skill, and that is a Rush of Essence. Spirit spells return 200% of their mana cost over 10 seconds. That is, of course, Haunt, Horrify, Soul Harvest, Spirit Barrage, and Spirit Walk. And when you use them, you will actually, of course, you have to spend the mana at first, but then you will get double the amount back, which means that the spells are basically free, and even more than you will gain mana by using your spells. And if you combine these two, I really see how they work great together, because you will not drop down in your mana at all. So I think that is a good combination, especially if you combine it with the, you know, it's called Spiritual Attunement as well, so you have more mana to begin with. You really have something going there. Moving on to Vision Quest. Anytime you have 4 or more skills on cooldown, your mana regeneration is increased by 300%. Now this is a skill that might be useful, but first of all, there's one condition. You need to have at least 4 skills that actually has a cooldown, because otherwise it will never trigger. And also, if you have, like, let's say you have 4 skills, you have do not know the names on top of my head. Now you have 3 skills that have a long cooldown, but then you have one that have maybe 10 seconds. That means that well, you will get this mana regeneration in for 10 seconds, but then after that you will have that off cooldown again, and you will not really have this boost anymore. So this is something that is really situational. You have to, you know, make sure to get any benefit from this. You need to make sure that you're using the spells that have cooldowns, which means that you cannot really save them for later, because then this is completely pointless. So no, not taking this one at all. Moving on to Fierce Loyalty. All your pets gain 100% of the benefit of a Thorn's item. Or Thorn's items. I'm guessing this is not something I really know anything about, but well, from prior knowledge, Thorns usually means that, well, when things hit you, they take damage. Simple as that. And there maybe is some kind of stat that you can stack up, you know, a Thorns stat or something like that. And whatever it is, your pet can gain this 100% of this benefit. So it means, well, when things hit your pets, they will take damage, and I really like that one. You know, combining that with this is a zombie handler, you will have more friends out, and at the same time they will not die as easily. So you can really use them as tanks, protect yourself behind them, and yeah, that's simple. Of course, if this have to be useful, thorns actually have to deal decent amount of damage. If it's like, well, they take 2 damage every time they hit, it is not. There's no point of using it. It needs to actually do a significant amount of damage, at least noticeable, because otherwise there are greater ways to use your passive skills, since you can only have 3 of them. Let's move on to Death Trace. Reduce damage by 20% whenever you are below 50% of your maximum life. There are 2 ways to read into this: reduce damage taken or reduce damage given. I just assume that it's damage taken, because it would be stupid of anyone to take a skill that says, well, if you drop down in life, you will not deal as much damage. So of course it is something that, you know, you will be great, will have a great protection if your health is dropping too low. And yeah, I can see, especially in hardcore, we really want to survive. This might be very useful, you know, to get this kind of extra armor whenever you're in dangerous zones. You know, you're dropping down, you cannot find a health globe, and you will not die as fast. Really useful in that way, and of course combined with healing spells after that, so you can leech life in some manner. And finally we have tribal rights. The cooldowns of your fetish army, big bad voodoo, and hex abilities are reduced by 25%. Kinda like this as well, especially, you know, fetish army. If you use that with the skill that we were talking about earlier, well, the rune, where you cut the cooldown by more than half, so you will have 50 seconds and cooldown instead of 2 minutes, and then reduce that by 25% as well. That means that you can actually use that quite often and have this army running around and looking cute. So they are really I have one question that might lead to another one as well. Does fetish army, these fetish, do they count as pets? And if they do, will they gain Thorn's ability as well? Because if they do, I really see how that can be really useful. Use them a lot, have them as a meat shield together with the zombies in some way. So yeah, this is all the passive skills. Some of them I don't really feel that is all of them is useful in some way, but a lot of them, except this one, Gruesome Feast, cannot see. Maybe if you know, health globes just pour out of everything all the time. I do not know this. If that is the case, maybe, but otherwise, no. You will have to run around and chase them instead of dealing damage. This will be everything about the Witch Doctor. Hope you enjoyed it. And this one, as well as the Barbarian, is for 4 different parts, so it's about 1 full hour of me talking to myself in a microphone. It's a bit sad, but I enjoy doing it and hope you like it. If you did, and if you actually managed to, you know, stay in there and see all 4 parts, please press the like button on all of them. Please subscribe, and if you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, please type in the comments. Tell me if you have anything you want me to do. I will look into that. If there is anything you want me not to do in the future, I might stop doing that. And yeah, I think that is everything. I am Largo, please, and you have been watching To the Cathedral. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.